Kandy. Welcome back to my channel. So I know we're all in this really strange, you know, spot in life, the whole world, and it's scary for all of us because it's unknown. We can't control anything that's happening. It's freaky, okay? So what I wanted to do today is show you guys how to make a homemade fabric mask. Now, before we get into that, I want to give you guys some information. So what I did is I went on Pinterest and I found a couple patterns for face masks, but then I also went on the CDC website and my local website. So we're going to start with the press release that came from my county where I live in Washington State. I live in Cowlitz County. And they have said the CDC and Washington State Department of Health now recommend wearing cloth face coverings such as homemade fabric masks in public settings where individuals cannot maintain 6 feet of distance from others. This would include grocery stores, pharmacies, especially in areas of significant community-based transmission. Staying home except for essential trips and ensuring you remain at least 6 feet away from others when in public remain the best way to protect yourself from COVID-19, but non-medical masks may be used to supplement those efforts. And then it says there are 2 things to consider before deciding to wear a mask. Medical masks should be reserved for healthcare workers. There have been a shortage of medical masks and it's important healthcare workers have the equipment they need to safely do their jobs. So I work in an industrial shop and we had a box of N95 masks. Now, unfortunately for us, we could not donate them. I called 3 to 4 different places and the box was already opened, so they wouldn't take the box. So I do have one of those. I also gave a couple to Roger's dad who has COPD and asthma and a lot of different medical issues that make him a little more susceptible. And so I gave him a couple of those. Now, I just wanted to explain that because these N95 masks should be only for medical and frontline people. But we couldn't donate them, so we are using them. Homemade fabric masks and other non-medical masks are not a replacement for staying home and limiting contact with others. Masks also do not replace the need to frequently wash hands with soap and water, avoid touching your face with unwashed hands, and stay away from people who are sick. These remain the best ways to stay healthy and to prevent the spread of COVID-19. My roommate's home, sorry. So it says, when a person infected with the virus wears a mask, even if they aren't displaying symptoms, it may help prevent the spread of infection to others. The mask can block droplets from spreading when the person coughs, sneezes, or to a lesser degree speaks. So they don't know how effective it is, but it's better than nothing, is basically what they're saying. So that was from my county. And then I went on the CDC website and got some information. This is how they want you to wear a cloth face covering. It fits snugly but comfortably against the sides of the face. It should be secured with ties or ear loops. And it should include multiple layers of fabric, allow for breathing without restriction, and be able to be laundered and washed and dried without damage or change of shape. So I know I'm giving you guys a lot of information, but I want to cover all the bases. I want to kind of inform and not put out false information. So that's why I went to very credible websites to get this information, and you know, I want to pass it on to you. So should cloth face coverings be washed or otherwise cleansed regularly? How regularly? They should be routinely washed depending on the frequency of use. I think for me, probably the only reason that I would wear one is if I was going to the grocery store or the pharmacy or something like that. Because I just go to work and I come home and I have very limited access, or the public has very limited access to me. I maybe come in contact with like 4 or 5 people every day, and some of my customers have come in wearing masks. We wipe the counter down multiple times a day. I'm washing my hands so much. My hands are just like red and chapped. We're doing our best. Being an essential, you know, business, it's kind of tough, because I think we go from like, are we overreacting or are we underreacting? Like, it's this very weird place to be. To sanitize and clean the face coverings, you can just put them in a regular washing machine. It should suffice. That's what the CDC says. So there's two pages of information from the CDC, and then the materials and how to do it. I will link that down below, because the one that I'm going to make, or I might make two different ones, but they also have how to do it with a bandana, which I don't have, how to do it with an old t-shirt. So it's, you know, they have a bunch of different stuff. So we're gonna go ahead, and the first one we're gonna do is gonna be the one from the CDC website, and then we're gonna go through, and I have a couple from Pinterest that I wanna try. So I'm going to be using probably quilting fabric or flannel. It is the most breathable, with also being like the tightest, so that the particles aren't getting out. Does that make sense? I read a lot on what type of material to use, and you just want to make sure that it's thick enough and that you're using enough layers to be able to breathe comfortably, but also to protect yourself. So let's go out into the other room where I have my sewing machine and all of my crafting supplies, and we'll get some stuff out, and I'll show you guys what I've got, and maybe we can figure out some things for you guys to do. Okay, so what I've done so far is cut 2 pieces of flannel fabric. I've got this peach color and then this coordinating pattern. So I'm gonna put the pattern inside and the less soft part of the solid inside. And what we're gonna do is basically sew this into a tube. So we're gonna sew across the top and across this bottom here. The cats are all over me. So let's get to sewing. Now let's do this side. And you want sort of a small seam allowance for this. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is take this tube and flip it inside out. And if you're getting real fancy, you would press this seam here. So that's going to be the outside of your mask. It's going to be the inside. Now we're going to go 1/2 inch here. So we're going to do about that much. What we're going to do is stitch right along the edge. So what we've got is a small little pocket, basically, because we're going to put some elastic through there. So let me do the other side real quick. Okay. So we've got 2 pockets. Can you guys see? Okay. So we've got 2 pockets on either side of the mask. Okay. So now we're going to take some really thin elastic. And I have a quilter square here because you need a 6-inch piece for each side. So I'm just gonna measure that and cut that. You could absolutely do this hand sewing. This is not that tough of a project. This one at least. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the elastic and push it through this tube. So instead of struggling like I'm doing, you take a small safety pin, put it through the very end of the elastic, like that, and then push it through. And it's easier to do this way because you've got something a little more solid than a piece of elastic. You can kind of work it through with your fingers, or you can take the fabric and kind of hold on to the end. Inside is the safety pin. So I'm putting my thumb there. And if you push the fabric back, put your thumb here as a stop, push the fabric back, and then grab the front, and it pulls it. So you kind of inchworm it along, basically. We're just trying to get this through this little tunnel tube, whatever we're calling it. And the elastic came off the safety pin. Cool, I love it. This is such a good project, you guys. Wow, I'm so super excited about this. Okay, so we've got the elastic out both sides. What we're gonna do is tie the two ends together. So I'm gonna pull them together like this and tie them like this. There we go, that worked. Okay, so that's on there nice and tight. Let me get the other side in so I can move on. Okay, so we've got both of the elastics through. What you want to do now is take the knot and kind of move it inside. So this is how the mask would be worn. This is a little tight for me, so I would probably add a little bit of elastic, a little bit more, but it fits very nicely and tightly. Covers my nose and mouth down to my chin. It does kind of hurt my ears, so what we could do is make another one, and or we could replace, let's just, you know what, we're gonna replace the elastic, because that's the problem for me, is the elastic's too tight on my ears. A longer piece of elastic would be better. Or why don't I just cut a longer piece of elastic? Novel idea. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna cut a longer piece of elastic. Probably 8 inches of elastic. We're going off book, y'all. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and string these in, and then I'll show you how much better it's going to fit. Okay, so I put 2 extra inches of elastic, and that's much better. It's not pulling on my ears as much. I mean, it's still pulling on my ears, but there we go. Hello? We want to autofocus. There we go. Okay, so there's my first mask. It fits very nicely. I do enjoy the extra 2 inches of elastic just to, you know, help out a little bit. And it's breathable, but you can definitely tell that you're holding stuff back. So that was a good one. Now we're gonna move on to a little more complicated one. Again, you could do this one no sew. The only places you would have to sew is across the top and the pocket for the elastic. So there's number 1. And let's get working on another one. This next pattern comes from Craft Passion, and it's gonna end up looking like this. It's a little more structured in the nose area. So she has a downloadable pattern. So here is for the outside fabric and for the lining fabric. I think we're just going to use the same fabrics. So what you're going to do for this one is take your fabric and fold it right sides together, right? Isn't that what she said? Now I'm questioning myself. Fold the main fabric into half with the wrong sides facing each other. Pin the paper pattern onto the double layer fabric. Cut the fabric. Okay, so wrong sides facing together, which is the insides. So I'm gonna do that. You can see I've already cut a little bit out for that last one we did. I'm really bad at, like, when I'm sewing, I don't use an iron. So I like to use fabrics that don't require that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin. Now this has the seam allowance on it. So this is gonna be the main part. This is the seam allowance here. Now there's a bigger seam allowance on this end for the elastic or the ribbon or whatever you're gonna use. So, like I said, just gonna pin this pattern onto the fabric. So then I'm gonna grab my fabric scissors. I know they're fabric scissors because they say fabric on them. And I'm just gonna cut around the pattern piece. Did anybody else's mom have sewing scissors that if you use them for something else, she would just go ballistic? Now I understand it. Okay, so there's our main fabric cut out. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the lining and show you guys the next step. Okay, I'm back. I got sidetracked on a phone call, sorry. You guys don't know that, why do I need to apologize? Anyway. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the outside fabric, the main fabric, and we're going to put right sides together. So you're gonna put basically the outside, which is what they call the right side, together. And then I'm gonna pin this so it doesn't move around on me. Harriet's back here. My roommate built them like a little box condo back here. Sissy, what are you doing? Athena's asleep over there. There's Harriet. Hi, Sissy. And then Athena's way over there. You got to see my entire living room. That's all there is, sorry. Okay. You gonna help me, sis? Okay, so I'm gonna pin this together and then we're gonna sew this curve. So let me get that together. Sissy, you're gonna have to get down. Okay, you're gonna have to get down. Thank you. Okay. Now they've allowed for a 1/4 inch seam allowance on this, just FYI. My stomach is like, it's time for dinner, why aren't we eating? Because we got on a phone call. Sew the center line of the face mask of the curve. Okay. So let's go back down to the sewing machine. So we're going to do this curved spot. So this thing, this weird looking thing is a pin cushion that I got. I bought some stuff on like Craigslist many years ago and she included this with it and she had made it and it works so well. My sister got me one that's like a slap bracelet that goes across my wrist too. That one works out really nice. Okay, clip curve along the seam allowance. Be careful, don't accidentally clip the stitches. So what they're talking about, I don't have much of a seam allowance here, but if you had more, you could clip right here so that when you turn it out, it's fine. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing with the lining. Okay, so now we've got these two pieces. We're going to We want it to go like this. So we're going to sew it like this. Okay. So we want the right sides together. And we're going to go ahead and pin this. And then we're going to sew around the curve and on the bottom. So let me get that pinned. So you're going to want to pin your center first and then do your outsides. So you can see we've got the top and the bottom pinned. So what we're going to do now is just sew the top and the bottom. So we're going to sew along this curve. So we've got this sewed on the top and the bottom. So now what we're going to do is take it and flip it inside out. This one you're not going to be able to do by hand. This one's a little more involved. There we go. So you'd want to press this. But for me, for right now, since I don't own an iron, we're not going to do that. So you're just going to want to kind of, you know, manipulate the fabric a little bit to kind of adhere to the shape that you want. So there we go. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take this side panel, because the main one was longer, and I'm going to pin it right here. So what you want is it's going to overlap onto the lining fabric, but it's going to leave that pocket for the elastic. And make sure you back sew, or back stitch, I mean, back sew, back stitch, so that everything is correct. Uh-oh, uh-oh. The thread is stuck. There we go. Okay. So that's one side of the mask done. Let me do this side. So we've got the main body of the mask done. Now what we're going to do is take some elastic, and I'm going to do 8 inches because I learned from the last one. I can always cut it down, but can't make it bigger. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces. Okay. We're going to do the same thing we did in the last one. We're going to thread it through, or whatever you want to call it. And she calls, what did she call it? A dead knot. I don't know quite what that means, but this is what I do. I put them together, tie them like you're tying a balloon. Oops. Maybe, if I can figure it out. There we go. Okay. Trim that. Do the same thing on this side. So now this one's finished. There we go. This one actually feels a little bit nicer. The other one, it was straight across here. And I have big cheeks, and so when I closed my eyes, it was getting in my eyes, but this one fits my nose fairly well. I like this one a lot, actually, and it wasn't honestly that difficult. You may be able to hand sew this one, but the machine helps a lot. Something else that she does suggest is what you could do is do a large piece of elastic, put it through both ends, and then it just goes around your neck instead of on your ears. So it's a little more comfortable. So that was a good one. Let me check this last one and then we'll go from there. Okay, that last one requires interfacing. Not a lot of you are just gonna have interfacing at your house. I have some, but I have very thick interfacing, so that's not gonna work. The stuff I was using for busy books for my nephews, so it's meant to stabilize the page as a whole page, so it's very thick. So the last thing I kind of wanted to show you guys is just these pictures from the CDC on how to make one out of a t-shirt. I only have new t-shirts that I don't want to cut up. So basically what it does is they cut 7 to 8 inches off the bottom of a t-shirt. Then you cut out, let me see if I can get it to focus. There, you cut about 7 to 8 inches off the bottom of a t-shirt. Then you cut a square out of the back, or a rectangle out of the back, I mean, and you cut those to make the ties, and then you wear it on your face like this. Now, from their website and a couple other ones, a t-shirt is not going to be enough fabric, but if you're in a pinch, it'll work. So we've got 2 really cute masks, you know, if I do say so myself, and they should be fairly effective. There's double layers of flannel, and I know they're not completely effective, but if you feel safer wearing one and other people around you feel a little bit safer, then, you know, it's fine. Like I said in the beginning, this video was just to inform and kind of put out some things, maybe help some people try to make masks. I know they're recommended now for most people. I know in Washington we're taking this very seriously. They've canceled school for the rest of the year, and our stay-at-home order has been extended until May 4th. So, you know, it sucks. But we're all gonna get through this together, and we're gonna come out stronger on the other end. And that's all that we need to keep in mind, is we're doing this to keep other people safe. Even if you don't feel sick or you don't know anyone who's sick, you still may have it. A lot of people are asymptomatic or have very, like, you know, minor symptoms. And so, you know, we all have to do our part, and we all have to, you know, it's for the greater good type of thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was something that I just wanted to try it out for myself. And, you know, showing you guys was even, you know, a fun little project for myself for the night. And let's see, I started about 5 o'clock and it's 7 o'clock now, and I had an hour phone call in there, and I did a lot of other little shit. So, you know, there it is. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, you guys. Please stay healthy, stay safe, and like I said, we're all gonna get out of this on the other end. And, you know, hopefully we all, I know a lot of us are gonna be affected by it, whether we know someone who had it, lost someone who had it. And I just want us all to show some kindness to each other and show some human compassion by, you know, staying in your house and following the government recommendations and, you know, trying to keep everyone safe. So I will talk to you guys soon. I love you guys so much.